Tony Adams, Arsenal legend and voice of the Emirates, has publicly demanded a bold decision from Mikel Arteta. Strip Martin Ødegaard of the captain's armband and hand it to Declan Rice now. His words on the Indosport podcast sent shockwaves through the fanbase, turning a dressing room detail into a season-defining dilemma. This isn't mere opinion, it's a forecast about leadership, tactics and Arsenal's title prospects. One armband could free Ødegaard to play with less burden while installing Rice's grit and authority at the spine. Tonight, Arteta faces a choice that could change everything and define the season ahead. Tony Adams' intervention has turned a discussion that was already simmering into front-page conversation, because when a club legend speaks, supporters and board members listen. Adams framed his suggestion not as a personal vendetta, but as a strategic switch. Give the armband to a player whose temperament and on-field presence match the confrontational, commanding profile a top-level captain needs. Declan Rice arrived at Arsenal as a statement signing, bringing world-class defensive midfield control and the kind of vocal leadership that can steady a team when games are tight. In contrast, Martin Ødegaard's captaincy has been built on creativity, vision and the quiet authority of an attacking leader, a role that can sometimes be hampered by the burdens of routine captaincy duties. Adams argues, in effect, that swapping the symbolic duty could unlock both players. Rice would marshal the team's defensive spine, while Ødegaard could be liberated to express himself with less political weight on his shoulders. But this is not a trivial change. Captaincy is both a public symbol and a private trust. Ødegaard has worn the armband since 2022 and has captained the side through important campaigns. Removing him risks fracturing goodwill or bruising morale, unless managed with exceptional sensitivity. Arteta must consider whether the dressing room genuinely favours a swap, and whether such a swap would be seen as meritocratic reinforcement or as a public rebuke. Managers who make decisive calls can reap tactical and psychological dividends, but they must also manage optics. Hurrian. If handled well, appointing Rice could signal a shift towards harder-edged resilience. Handled poorly, it could be seen as a destabilising public intervention in squad harmony. Tactically, the case for Rice is strong. A captain who sits in front of the defence can influence tempo, shape and discipline in real time, especially in games where Arsenal face sustained pressure. Rice's capacity to shield the backline, cut out counterattacks and impose structure allows creative players to take calculated risks. For a manager like Arteta, who prizes structure and positional intelligence, a midfield leader who commands respect and enforces standards could be the difference between close calls and trophies. On the other hand, Ødegaard's leadership style is intrinsically linked to Arsenal's attacking identity. Removing his armband risks diluting the symbolic link between the club's creative heartbeat and its figurehead. Fan and pundit reaction has been mixed, with high-profile voices on radio and social platforms already debating merits and motives. Some see Adams' stance as overdue realism, a call to make the toughest choices on the path to winning silverware. Others warn against knee-jerk changes and emphasise that leadership manifests beyond armband ritual. The truth is likely somewhere in between. Leadership is organic, and a successful transition would require clarity from Arteta about roles, responsibilities, and the shared ambition that underpins any decision. What happens next is as revealing as the choice itself. Watch for small signals: who wears the armband in friendlies, who speaks first in interviews, and how Arteta frames the leadership conversation publicly. If Arteta makes the switch, expect an immediate narrative shift, a message that standards and grit will be enforced. If he doesn't, it could indicate faith in continuity or a desire to maintain harmony over headline drama. Either route carries consequences for Arsenal's title ambitions, because leadership at the top of the team affects daily culture, tactical flexibility and crucial moments in tight matches. In the end, this is a managerial judgment call that goes beyond personalities. It's about identity. Will Arsenal broadcast a toughness-first message with Rice at its centre, or will they double down on Ødegaard's creative stewardship? Tony Adams has cast his vote. Now the manager must decide whether to follow a legend's urging or to chart his own course. Whichever way Arteta leans, fans will judge not just the choice, but how it's explained and executed. And that execution may prove more important than the armband itself.